Where are you, you little reprobates?
But I'm here.
Oh, good. Today on Blueyology, we're going to be discussing The Weekend, which is episode number 6. And as always, not everything we say is guaranteed to be suitable for your little reprobates, so watch out for that. I'm Alastair McIver. I'm here with my fellow Blueyologist, Laura Guthrie. And hello. What did you think of this episode, Laura?
Easily 5 out of 5 stars.
It's a beauty, isn't it?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, I can't actually. I was trying to do this. I can't actually put into words why in some ways. So maybe we can like unravel that a bit.
Well, I think this episode is epic. It's it's one of these episodes that just packs so much into it that it packs so much into it that you're quite surprised that you've only been watching for 8 minutes, you know, because you feel like you've watched the film.
It feels long, doesn't it?
In The Weekend, it's the weekend, and the kids decide that they want to play this many games, and they play games with Bandit, and Bandit gets so caught up in the game that he doesn't notice when Bingo is trying to call his attention to a little walking leaf, leafy creature, which, according to unreliable sources, is a katydid, which is not to be confused with what Katie did. A katydid is a little.
That's a pun on it, though. That is a pun on it.
Is it?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that why it's called that?
That's how the story begins. But anyway, yeah.
So never read it, so I don't actually know. But yeah, a katydid. No, not a katydid. A katydid, or a bush cricket. And it's a little leafy thing, and it's obviously evolved to look like a leaf so that predators don't gobble it up.
Obviously not found anywhere with giraffes.
Well, giraffes aren't predators. Giraffes are after the leaf. So, but this little katydid is a very bold one. It jumps onto Bingo's nose and is very friendly. It kind of reminds me of my own childhood in Dumfries. We would go down by the river when the weather wasn't like this, because when the weather is like this, most of the town is the river. But when the river was its own separate entity, there are various banks that you could go down to, and the water's quite shallow, and you could see little creatures. And the creatures, at first glance, look like sticks. But if you watch them long enough, they kind of poke a little head out and little crawly things like that. And sometimes if you pick them up and put them in your hand, it's probably not very good for them. They probably all died shortly after I did that, but I didn't know that. But if you pick them up and put them in the hand, you actually start doing that on your hand. And so, yeah, this episode spoke to me because I had an experience with a creature that was reminiscent of the one that Bingo played with.
Okay. Yeah. I think what I saw in it a lot was the sort of, it's almost like a not a tension thing, which is a sort of gentle push pull between stillness and action, but also between, like, you could definitely see each of them having their own kind of priorities within the whole thing as well, you know. So I like seeing them all sort of just interweaving. I think because it didn't have a sort of central sort of strong theme, like, say, one game like Keepy Uppy or Shadowlands or something. It was just the weekend where they're just playing, and in a way I think that probably let them put more of that in and have more time to let those things unfold.
Yeah, the game they play is the statue game, and this is an example of how kind of wildly inventive the children's play in Bluey is. because the statue game is just nuts.
But it's
And
not the title game, it's like a game they play
yeah,
in it.
yeah, a guy played by Bandit goes into a statue shop and buys a statue for $400 dues. I'm not quite sure what the exchange rate is between the dollar and the Australian dollar, but I'd imagine that 400 is probably quite a reasonable price for a statue. Um, and the shopkeeper assures Bandit that the statue is not magical, it's just a regular statue. And of course, the statue is Bingo. And as soon as he takes his eye off it, the statue is running around and being silly and going and all of that. And this is the game through which I actually encountered Bluey.
Okay.
I was at a playgroup with my kid and David's kids, and David's kids were playing the statues game, and I'd never heard of such a thing. And David said, "That's from Bluey," and the next thing you know, I was into Bluey. So Isabel has made me play this game so many times, and it's completely exhausting chasing a statue that comes to life, and it's a really good game, and it's really funny. And there's this whole kind of subplot within the game. It's almost like a story within a story, wherein the guy who feels like he has been defrauded because they sold him a magic statue when he only wanted a regular statue. I'd imagine a magic statue would actually be a bit more valuable than a regular statue. I don't know, but
maybe it's like you know, the difference between a computer coming and a computer coming with a free virus.
yes, it had a magical statue virus.
Yes,
an
keeps
MS
freezing. It's the other way around.
Yeah. So I think that there was a lot of fun and a lot of delight coming off of this game, but also the subplot of this incensed customer holding the shopkeeper upside down and going, "Give me back my dollar dues."
Yeah. Actually, that's good, because that's like that's a good point, because that's where the sort of real world sort of thing intersects with the play world, because in the play world that in the play world they're in the shop, but in the real world you probably don't see that very often with a shopkeeper, so it's more in keeping with sort of like play rules, if that makes sense. I'm not meaning to I always feel like I'm accidentally sort of downplaying play when I say that, and I don't mean it like that.
So.
Oh, that's good. But yeah.
And there's also a bit where Bluey and Bingo are ringing the doorbell and then hiding.
Oh yes.
And I used to do a similar thing when I was a kid, when I would stand up on a toy tractor and ring the doorbell and then run around the back door. And the adults would have to pretend that they had no idea that was what I was doing. So quite a lot of Bluey kind of reminds me of my own childhood and takes me back a bit. And it's kind of idyllic. It's just this playscape where anything can happen and none of it really matters.
Yeah, but it's a playscape where it's almost, in some ways, it's almost like a laboratory as well. Like, not in the sort of lab conditions type way, but more like just this place in which interactions can take place naturally. And I think, yeah, that episode was a good example of that, like just a blank canvas and see. I know I'm mixing metaphors, blank canvas and put different things on it. One thing that I thought was like kind of interesting is, again, it's sort of, there's the bit where Bandit gets like caught short and then they're all on the toilet with him.
Yes, yes.
Singing and stuff. And I kind of thought that looked like it was probably a sort of, that's the sort of almost cliched parenting joke I've heard, is sort of, you can't go to the toilet in peace with young kids.
Well, that's true to life. It's true to life, but it's seldom acknowledged in the world of children's television. You know, I
Yeah.
long for a bath where no one comes in and drops a rubber duck on me. You know, so there is a kind of um erosion of privacy that happens when there are children around. But I like the fact that they pause the game, go to the toilet, come back, and start off right where they were. That
And
was great.
meanwhile, Chilli's almost the other way around because she goes for her run, which is her weekend thing. She needs that for, to pace herself, I'm guessing. But then she comes back and she's straight into sort of like she's straight into interactions with everyone again. You see that in the montage as well before bedtime too. So it's like she's the other way around, which is quite
Mm,
fun too. Not trying to
yeah.
make any point with that, just I thought it was nice.
It was a very nice touch that Bandit's watching cricket on TV and the cricket players are also dogs. It's just this consistent thing throughout the Bluey universe that everyone's a dog. Uh,
Yeah.
and there was some cricket terminology that I was completely lost on me. And that happens throughout Bluey. Australians are very, very, very big on cricket. I'm very much not. But I do recognize the tension of trying to watch a sport of your choosing
Yeah.
when when a small person is climbing all over your head. It's it's quite difficult.
That's a thing. That's a thing through that one as well. There's the toilet moment and the jumping on him moment and things like that. But he never seems to. He never seems to. I mean, I kind of wonder a little bit whether this is sort of that sort of idyllic dogscape, um, but he never seems to like mind it or anything.
Yeah, yeah, he's got such a huge tolerance for being climbed on and jumped on. And as a parent, I can tell you that your tolerance for being climbed on and jumped on does go up quite a lot because it has to. And you will let kids do things to you that you would never let anyone else do.
Yeah.
Um, so you get climbed all over, you get fingers up your nose, you get
There
tugged
are a
and
couple of moments
tugged
where
and
he
pulled
goes
and
like,
yanked.
"Stop it, let me watch this a moment."
Yeah,
But they
and
don't
that's
ever
just
come to
not going to
anything, do
happen.
they?
Yeah, yeah, and I think Bandit is very much the self-sacrificing parent. He's the one that never gets to do what he wants to do because the kids are driving dragging him away from it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh,
Although in Daddy Robot, um, like Chilli was the one who kind of rescued him from that in a bit. I felt
yeah,
started to with him.
Chili sometimes comes to his rescue.
Yeah.
Sometimes refuses to come to his rescue, and he goes, "What?" You know, like there's a
Yeah.
later episode called "Tickle Crabs," where
Right.
Chili just bails on him and leaves him to it, and that's quite a hilarious
Nice.
dynamic. Um, I
But the
like,
thing is, as well, I mean, like you wouldn't. I suppose in. I don't. I don't. I don't know personally from a parenting point of view, but you wouldn't want to. No parent who is on the outside of it would want to end up consistently being the one who kills the game, because that would probably not be a very have good consequences cumulatively. It would
mm,
be like, oh no, mummy's coming, she's going to stop the game.
yeah, I don't think she's ever actually stopped a game. Um,
No, that's true.
but uh, there does come a point where uh where you're all played out and you just have no energy left and you're like, I'm sorry, I really need a minute to myself.
I'm
And
waiting for that moment in a Bluey episode.
it doesn't really happen in Bluey.
Interesting.
It's and that's one of the kind of key differences between Bluey and the real world. But I think also Bandit isn't a real dad, he's an ideal dad. Uh you know, so there's a sort of utopian sense here that real parents will never quite live up to Bandit, but that's the standard we should be aiming for.
That makes me slightly uncomfortable, actually, to be honest.
Does it? Why?
Yeah, it does. Because I think it, from an adult point of view, it's kind of I like it when shows show a good something that's actually achievable in a way, because I think then you can have more of a two-way dialogue with the show.
Mm,
So it would be really nice, I think, if they did sort of do that. I think sometimes, right, that's where perhaps that's where I think Pingu got that right, actually, because they do have that moment where they show the parents snap, but then they always reconcile at the end of it and things. And I think we've got enough things where we show children, parents sort of snapping at play or something like that. We've got enough of that, but at the same time, I wonder whether there is room in the Bluey universe. I think there would be room in the Bluey universe to have them reach their limit somehow creatively.
it happens once or twice. There's one later on where Bandit is busy and
Yes.
Bingo really, really wants to show him something that she's made for him. And he's like,
Mm.
just not now, I'm busy. And kind of brushes her off. And she's very upset by that. And
Yeah.
that offends the fairies.
Right. Okay.
And so the fairies start fucking with bandits, and he has to find a way to put that right. So we I don't want to say too much about other episodes because we talked about them when we get to them,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, there are one or two episodes uh where one or both of them just completely reaches their limit and just can't do anymore. There's one where Bandit and Chilli are both completely exhausted, uh,
Mhm.
and so they want to play a game where they don't actually have to do very much. So they
Yeah.
basically just lie on the couch and pretend to be a mountain, and the children climb the mountain. Uh,
It's good. Then in that case, I think that any kind of uncomfortableness is assuaged. Then just sort of knowing that there's that nod to that too. Because if you have that nod, I think you can make it much more utopic than the real world in some ways. That there.
but usually, what you have is Bandit having an inexhaustible supply of energy. That uh, that real world parents just don't know where he gets,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you don't have that in the real world. But on the other hand, you are kind of seeing the best 7 minutes of the day of
Yeah.
Bandit's
That's the
parenting.
point
So,
as well.
uh,
Or maybe he's just not as good at. Maybe he's just not as good at setting limits.
or maybe he's not as good at
Bluey.
anything else in life. So, he's
Yeah.
neglecting his work and neglecting everything else, but he's focused entirely on his kids. Which is probably the right way around to do it if you have to choose
Yeah.
to
Got to neglect something. Don't neglect
neglect
the
something.
kids.
Yeah, yeah. But Bandit is just totally my hero, and I think that
Yeah.
I speak for a lot of dads who are into the show when I say that. There really needs to be a statue of Bandit in every town square.
That would be amazing, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that was kind of interesting was how there was there's a long time between the leafy thing flying away, the katydid flying away, and when it kind of seemed to come to the surface for Bingo that she was sad
Mm.
about Bandit having not come along. So
Yeah,
that gave me pause for thought.
it's been on her mind, and she's been dwelling on it a lot, and
Mm,
Bandit hasn't noticed that because
mm,
Bandit, for all his wonderful, isn't perfect. And in a
mm,
sense, he kind of drops the ball a bit in this episode because he doesn't notice that Bingo is having a crisis. But
yeah,
when it is brought to his attention, he sits down and he listens to her and he respects her feelings completely and totally
yeah.
acknowledges that. And I think that's important because sometimes adults can see things as unimportant that are very important to the children.
Oh,
And
absolutely, yeah.
they don't understand that the relative unimportance of the thing is
Hmm.
purely a matter of perspective, and that the child's
Yeah,
perspective is actually just as valid as ours. So,
yeah. It's another thing about the child's world being maybe smaller in some ways.
mm,
Like if you're not able to if you've not got that kind of, if all your stuff is at home and all your things are toys, um, then those toys become important because they're
Yeah,
your agency in the world,
yeah.
or those experiences, you know.
I mean, Isabel is at the moment very upset about the dinosaurs and the fact that they all died. And this kind of comes to the surface, usually late at night when we're trying to get her to sleep. Sort of every so often something will remind her that the dinosaurs all died, and she's absolutely inconsolable. And
Yeah.
you know, and the distance that we have from that as adults, because we can say, look, it was 64 million years ago, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, it was a long, 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 long time before there were even cavemen. So
Yeah.
um, it doesn't have an emotional impact for us, but it does
Mm.
to her because she wants to see real dinosaurs, and there aren't real dinosaurs.
Mm. They all
And
turned into birds.
it's yeah, well, I did tell her that birds are descended from dinosaurs, and she likes that. She's a little bit consoled by that. But something can have a very, very, very profound emotional resonance for a child that's completely outside our paradigm. And
Mm.
I don't know what to say to her when she's upset about the dinosaurs, because have I have empathy with her feeling that she's upset, but I don't really have the same level of uh, emotional investment in
Mm.
uh, in giant lizards that went extinct 64 million years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
it's a
it's
difficult one,
important,
that.
I think, to acknowledge that something
Yes.
that matters to a child uh, still matters, even if it doesn't matter
Yeah.
very much to us.
And we went one step further, I think, than apologizing in that, because she still goes, it's okay, and she's still sad, but but then he's just he goes further, and like the way he did it, actually, the way he acknowledged that feeling, helped her through it without you know controlling it, involved um like acknowledging her by saying there's this game, and well, no, I don't know if you know, but I bought the statue, and it kept moving and everything. So he's kind of, it's like he's brought her back into the sphere again, or back into the circle again, having
Yeah,
ignored her by mistake.
and he kind of he kind of intermingles the real world with the pretend world, because he's saying all this like it actually happened, and
Yeah.
pretending not to know that the statue was in fact Bingo.
Yeah.
And that gives her the opportunity to get one over on him by saying,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that was me, that was totally me.
It's kind of funny because my first reaction to the way he said, sorry, I don't know if you know, I bought the statue, and like and I was distracted because it kept coming to life and moving, and my first reaction to that was kind of actually, you're not addressing, when you said you're sorry, and she said it's okay, but she was sad, you're not actually addressing that. And it took me a while to realize that he was kind of, but very indirectly.
Mm.
And my feeling after that was like, was it direct enough? Obviously it was in the story.
So do you think that it would have been better if he had said, uh, um, I know that that's very sad, uh, and I'm sorry.
No, I don't think so, because I think in the thing, in that in their story, in the Bluey episode, that worked. But I sort of wonder a little bit whether in the real world, somebody who was feeling that about their, because it wasn't actually about, the leaf wasn't actually part of the game,
Mm,
whether whether an apology and then an explanation that involves going straight back to the game that distracted him from the leaf. Like, whether that would work to
Well,
make them feel better as well as an apology.
he brought it back to the game. He said sorry, but
Yeah.
then he brought it back to the game and kind of made the game real for Bingo, and that seemed to work. But then Bingo asked him to leave the door open in case the leaf wants to come back. So she's got some lingering grief for the leaf there.
Grief for the leaf. Yeah.
Grief for the leaf grief.
But she did find relief from her grief.
Yeah, she found relief from the grief of the leaf.
That's my belief, at least.
But sometimes when a child is upset and it's bedtime and you just need them to go to sleep as soon as possible, you kind of have to take emotional shortcuts. So if you can make them giggle, then make them giggle, because that kind of distracts them. And I suppose it's kind of emotionally cheating, but there's a balance to be struck, because if you want to kind of do a therapeutic thing where you process all the
so like more just the sort of, I wish he'd said like something, I wish he'd also said something like I'm sorry, and I was distracted, I'll try better next time, or something like that,
yeah,
that I think would have just added a something else into it that I was listening for or something, and it didn't come because the game was there instead. That's all I meant, really, I think.
Yeah. I think he handled it.
Maybe I'm nitpicking.
I think he handled it pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. And actually, maybe the point of it, because it's like, first of all, it's Chilli, I think, and then it's Chilli and Bluey trying to, and then it has to be Bandit who does it. Maybe it's just the fact that it needed to be Bandit was important as well. That was all that was needed.
Yeah, Chilli draws
lots to think about.
Chilli draws his attention to it. Bluey is trying to cheer Ingo up by showing her a toy that's made of food, and I wonder if there's a story there.
It's a dog treat.
Is it? Is that what it is?
I don't know. It seems like a very dog treat type toy.
Or is there an actual toy? Yeah, maybe it's a squeaky toy for dogs. I don't know.
And well, it's just the way they're talking about it. Like, this is a sushi feet, and it's got rice to help you stand up. I could just kind of imagine a dog sort of sitting up like that. So it was another like for me dog reminder.
Yeah, that's a very good dog face.
Really? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yes, I mean that in the nicest possible way.
Thank you. I don't know quite what to respond to that.
Should we leave it there then?
I think so, yeah, unless you got anything else unless there's anything else to sort of cover in the episode.
I think we've done this one quite thoroughly. So thank you for thank you for overthinking this episode with me.
Thank you.
Let's do it again next time.
Yeah, okay, see you next time.
Bye bye.